for the United Party, your own assessment so far?
Assessment of what?
The ongoing race and how it's turning by way of the tempo of the campaign.
Okay, so let me wish your lovely viewers a good morning. Wish my brother a good morning. I appreciate his analysis. I see my prof here, or Dr. Danquah, and my prof here will come with a lot of
insights into research.
Yeah. I wish your lovely viewers a good morning. Well, I think I've been pretty consistent with my position of the NPP race, and I think my views about how politics and purpose of our constitutional democracy, I think, is pretty much known. You see, there's a fundamental problem with the NPP. I think the solution is not in just picking a presidential candidate. I think the biggest issue is the character, the spirit, the value set of the party now, and how those value sets have veered away from why we ought to be doing politics in the first place. There's a fundamental flaw with the culture within their party. You see, there's a lot of definition for what politics is. But if there's one definition that I prefer beyond all other definitions, is the definition that Aristotle gave. And the view of Aristotle, politics is a science. It's not just a science, it's a master science. And it's a master science that uses all the other science. Law, economics, education, use all those science for one end and one end only, to build a strong state. Because when you build a strong state, then it will be easy for you to then deal with the well-being of your citizens. You understand? And so anybody that does politics, in whatever form or shape, whether you're a journalist, whether you're an opposition, whether you're a CSO, whether you are a pollster, then your focus should only be to use whichever position you are in playing this game towards building a strong state. And that culture ought also to be seen in our political parties. So within our political parties, the culture has to be one that is just toward building a strong state. And you see that culture even in how they govern when they are given power. Now, we've given them 8 years, and after the 8 years, we have this NSS scandal. We have a situation where somebody whose average salary over the course of 8 years was about 24,000, and yet he's managed to amass wealth in excess of 50 million. So you have the National Signal Bureau's scandal. You have the issues with the ECG. You have a situation where after 8 years, the spirit, the virtue of this nation was broken. You have a party that oversaw an attack on our democracy. You had a party that sat down and allowed the president sponsored to appoint people who are perceived or who were perceived to have political career into our EC. You have a situation where the person we give our powers to, the trustee, having been sponsored by the NPP, oversee this Galamsey issue, and the disappointment with knowing that having been given 2 reports, one report from his environmental minister and a report from the CID, he shelved those reports. So you'd be thinking that this party, whose culture is very parochial, extremely parochial, party that clearly has demonstrated that they have no regard for the good of the state, that they will deal with the culture within. You understand? And that once that culture within, you understand, has been altered from one that is parochial to one that is patriotic, then they'll be in the better state of choosing somebody who can best represent and push the aspirations of the people of Ghana. Well, at all time in politics, the state has to supersede all every interest. You understand? But they are not doing that. And you see an expression of their perverse character in how their presidential election is being done. You yourself said, I didn't say it, that it has become a sinners contest. You understand? Instead of this being an opportunity where policy will be discussed, this will be an opportunity where debates as to how we advance the cause of our country will be discussed. Instead, we are being inundated with discussions about sins. 10 cents of Baumia, 10 cents of Bright Champon, 10 cents of Kennedy in Japan. And it tells you that for we as Ghanaians, the sovereign, we should not be considering anybody they bring. Because they certainly do not have the interest of the country at heart. For an activity that is supposed to be the master science, they've reduced it to a criminal organization. It doesn't cry out if they were serious. And if they were being driven by the right value set, why would a regional chairman set up what's called a video station, and all he does is to insult, denigrate the person, the character of senior members of his party? Why would he? Because he ought to be in a position of neutrality. I believe, you see, nobody is neutral, really, because even the EC votes. But for the good of the whole, sometimes we ought not to know the position, let's say, the EC or people in executive positions. As a regional executive, we shouldn't know. But the regional executive can stand on platforms and go after the character, the person of senior members.
You only said that this was in.
No, by serious. Abronya has thrown his hat, has shown whether he supports Baumia. Yeah. It shouldn't be happening. It was good. Chema to me. It shouldn't be happening. If
but
you were
driven,
no, but you see, you were a party. I'm saying you were a party, and when the political business, you understand? I'm saying that the sole purpose is to build a system. You understand? That ultimately ought to build a very strong state. And to do that, you need to first of all deal with the values in your party. So the values in your party, because your job is to use the power politics will give you to build a strong state, then your values should not be parochial. Because I can tell you that what is driving a lot of the people in the NPP right now is not what is in the interest of the country. So what is in the interest of their party is what is in their individual interest. That's what drives them. That's what drives the NPP now. And so if that's the case, then do you honestly believe that with the kind of culture that exists in their party, with the kind of value that they are exuding, with a clear lack of patriotism in their party, and they say it all the time. As I recall Nanabi saying that their party is supreme. Yeah, you understand. And when you
said Nanabi said what?
That the party is supreme.
But which is true.
No, it ought not to be the case.
The political party is supreme.
No, it ought not to be the case. We do politics. I'm saying that when you define what politics is, and my favorite definition of what politics is the definition given by Aristotle, that you do politics to build a strong state. You understand? So we have political parties, and the values of the political parties must align to the values of the state. You understand? So the only reason why, because when you are going to sponsor somebody who will become president of Ghana, so you don't want a situation of, as in the words of Nanado, where he was saying that, listen, I reneged on my duty towards the people of Kofi because they did not vote for my MP. He said that. That where you have a president that says that if you don't vote for my MP, I can assure the people of Ejeso that nobody can lobby me to bring development to Ejeso. And he will say that because he thinks he's president of his party. Not president. It's not about NDC. No, it's not about NDC. Sometimes we think, you see, the way we do politics here, we think it's a game. But we think, but you see, you have a situation where poverty is staring in the face of the masses of the people of Ghana. You have a situation where we are failing as a nation to provide quality health care. We have a situation where we are failing to provide quality education. We have a situation where all of our lives are peril because of the menace of Galamsey. But that will happen because of the way we do politics here. We don't understand that the essence of politics is to build a strong state. I'm saying that the new patriotic party have demonstrated that they do not have that culture that puts the interest of the state first. So if that's the case, and you see that clear in the words of their own legend, Darocha, BJ Darocha, in 2008, when the issue of Alan Chamantin came up, and BJ Darocha wrote that they should not accept Alan Chamantin back into their party. Why? Because if Alan Chamantin is asked to choose between Ghana and the NPP, he's going to choose Ghana. And that ought to have been a plus. Because the reason why we do politics in this country always ought to be Ghana. And that's where your party is departing from that Ghana agenda. Then you ought to discard that party. So for me, Roland, I'm not interested in their
internal politics,
because their focus, the purpose of what they are doing, certainly isn't Ghana. The focus of what they are doing, this Senate contest, this contest where their national executives do not mind making the water murky, undermining their own set values, then we ought not to be too interested in them. You understand? And with the repository of sovereign power, we make the first decision in every political cycle. You understand? We should not be swayed by this supposed NPP, NDC a game. And that's what I told you. You asked me now, you know the name. That for us, the reason why we formed the United Party was because we believed strongly that the way we do politics in this country has become very parochial. And that clearly the NPP do not care about Ghana. And so we form a new political party with the right spirit, with the right culture. And our purpose is seen in our motto, which is Ghana first. And so please, I know you, the journalist, you enjoy this NPP banter, but for me that is not the most critical thing. The most critical thing right now is we ought to change how politics is done in this country, and we ought to do politics that will build that strong state and that would put the well-being or the welfare of the citizens at heart. And I'm not convinced that the way the NPP are behaving, they are capable of doing that. So let's forget about them. I'm not interested in them.
Now, the polls are